When it comes to folding phones, I'd like to call myself a folding phone fan. But it seems like a crease is one of the biggest reasons that people don't want a foldable. The 10 Pro Fold has a crater sized crease. The Z Fold 7s is smaller, but it's still there. And even companies like Huawei claim they have no crease, but yeah, they do. And there's a lot of talk about a creaseless iPhone coming later this year. But what if I told you that OPPO, they've done it first? Like, there is no crease on this phone at all. I'm Paul and I've been using the N6 for a few weeks now, and it might be the best folding phone that I've ever used. Another drop as normal. How does it look though? I think this is fine. Yeah, see? Folding phones then, they can take a drop. They're all good. Folding phones over the last few years have got thinner. They've got better cameras, but now this is the first time that I've seen anybody almost completely remove that crease. I'm not going to tell you that that crease is 100% gone, because I feel like at very sharp angles you can still kind of see the crease. Well, it's pretty difficult to try and show you, but when I tell you that you cannot feel that that crease is there, like, this is some magic from OPPO. The way OPPO have done this, they say that they create their hinges as normal, then they go back into that hinge and 3D print liquid into the gaps that is left. And usually after a few weeks of using a folding phone, the crease does get worse, but I've been using this for a month or so and it's as good as when I took it out the box. And OPPO said that even after a million folds of this N6, that crease will only sink by the thickness of a human hair. The lack of crease is impressive, but a folding phone can't be judged on just its crease alone, and lucky for us, OPPO had smashed the rest of this phone as well. The core parts of the phone haven't changed too much from last year's N5. It's the same thickness at 8.93mm when closed, which is actually only a few millimeters thicker than the S26 Ultra. And it's the same 4.22mm when it's folded completely flat, and I don't think we can expect this to get much thinner just because of that USB-C port. When it is folded flat though, this still has the biggest folding display on any book style foldable at 8.12 inches. But the changes that OPPO have made to the N6, they've made them in all the right places. First of all, this is powered by the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5, and granted this is the 7-core version, but I think that that's absolutely fine for a folding phone just because of how hot it might get. The battery is a 6000 mAh silicon carbon battery, which is, I think, the best battery that I've tried on a foldable. It's about 1000 mAh bigger than it is on the 10 Pro Fold, and the gap is even bigger when comparing it to the Z Fold 7. I just don't remember a single time when I've been using this that I've had to worry about the battery running out. Like, it's a workhorse. I've been using it for traveling, I've played games, I've watched videos on this, and I know that it's just never ever gonna run out. Like, I don't know what OPPO have done to this, but it's such a good phone. And then its other big upgrades are to its cameras.
No one tells you that San Francisco is just deep hills. Look how far down it is.
And I actually think that the cameras on the N6 might be the best in any folding phone that I've tried. Like, I'm trying to think of anything that comes close, and there just isn't anything. That main camera is now a 200 megapixel f1.8 sensor. There's a 50 megapixel 3x telephoto, and a jump from last year's 8 megapixel ultra wide to now 50 megapixels. And when I tell you I love this camera, I really love it. I love the consistency between all three lenses. The colours and lighting barely change when swapping those lenses. The detail you get from this phone are so impressive. Like, I look at these photos sometimes and completely forget that it was taken on a folding phone. I took this to Galaxy Unpacked. I went to see Florence and the Machine, and I don't feel like I missed any moments because the cameras weren't good enough. I don't want to seem like I'm not saying anything bad about these photos, but I honestly struggle to think of anything. I just think that all three of these lenses are as good as you can get on a folding phone. If I'm being picky, then I would say that the ultra wide is weaker than the other lenses in both nighttime and daytime. At nighttime, the photos can be a little bit soft, and I suppose even the telephoto at nighttime can skimp on details. Like in the sky here, it's not always amazing.
I'm about to get into Waymo, one of those self-driving cars. This will be interesting. I think that's the car right there. Start ride.
You're going to be sick of this, but I'm going to give as much praise to the video that this phone can take, just like I did for the photos. I'm going to say that this is the best video on a folding phone. Stabilization is great, even with a lot of movement. It can handle pretty bad lighting really well. It can be a little bit rubbish at changing lenses when filming, but I'm going to let OPPO off on that because what else this phone can do is record 4K 120 FPS log on the main and the 3x telephoto. And if you drop that down to 60 frames, then you can actually shoot log on all three of its lenses while still being able to switch between them all. And as good as that video is, sometimes you get a bit of a reminder and you get given video like this and like this. I will call a phone out when I think that the photos or videos just aren't that good, but sometimes it's just good to be able to review a phone and get excited about the photos and videos it takes, because that is everything that I've been feeling about the N6. Next is the OS. Let's not pretend that this is not heavily inspired by iOS. Sometimes it can feel like a little bit of an iOS version 2. It has Dynamic Island for kind of no reason at all. The Control Center, iOS. The lock screen wallpapers, again, quite iOS. But there are parts of ColorOS that I do like. I do really like their Flux themes. There's enough customization. And last year I had a complaint that you couldn't put 5 icons in a row on the home screen, and now you can. OPPO clearly know that a lot of people use iPhones and they're kind of just like leaning into that a little bit. They're making their OS feel like iOS, so if you were to switch, it doesn't feel like a huge change. And at the same time, there's iPhone Connect, where you can send photos pretty seamlessly to other iPhones. And then there is an Apple Watch Connect, which is not here yet, but it is coming. What the OS is also very good at is multitasking. You can have 4 floating windows open, 3 apps side by side and snap to whichever one you want, and then on top of those 3 you can have a 4th floating window. It makes me want to do multitasking a little bit more on a folding phone because I'm really bad at it. Like, I tend to still swap in between apps just like through the app changes, so maybe the multitasking isn't quite for me, but I know that some people will absolutely love it. Something else that people might like is that the N6 now has stylus support. I think it's got a stupid name, but this is something that OPPO call the AI pen, and it kind of just lives in the back of a case here that you have to buy separately for the phone. It then snaps onto the back, and then the AI pen, horrible name, will charge wirelessly. You can use the AI pen on both the cover and the folding display. You can do laser pointing, which I was very disappointed to see had a lack of laser. Plus, you can use this AI pen as a remote camera shutter as well, which is something you can't really do on many other folding phones. We're in a place right now where upgrades are small in the world of phones, and it's hard to get too excited about what's new. But OPPO have made the N6 feel like a real flagship slab style phone. With a lot of foldables you need to compromise, but I feel like that this is the first folding phone that you probably don't need to compromise on, and it's likely going to be my daily driver for a lot of this year. And that's why what I say next about this phone is painful, because the chances are you can't buy the N6 because it's only going to be available in China, New Zealand and Australia. Like, it's a very small global launch, and it's such a shame because I feel like 2026 is going to be a huge year for foldables, and I feel like the N6 has set the standard, and I just don't see how anyone, even Apple, if they do come out with their foldable iPhone this year, is going to be able to beat what the N6 can do. I'm really disappointed in OPPO that they're not bringing this to more people, because this is the first foldable that feels like a flagship slab style phone that can fold open. Let me know what you think of the N6 in the comments below, because this is still, I think, the best folding phone, and it's such a shame, and I feel so disappointed that OPPO are not bringing this to more markets. Before you head off, if you can subscribe to the channel, I would massively appreciate it, and if you do that, then I'll see you in the next one.